Today's lesson is on topic 5 review. A grocery store receives a 180-pound crate containing 6 10-pound bags of potatoes and an unknown number of 5-pound bags of potatoes. Write an equation that represents the number of bags of potatoes in the crate. Take a second to copy down the question. This problem is asking us to write an equation. So since we are writing an equation, we know that we're going to have an equal sign. So I'm going to start by putting my equal sign. When I read the problem, I see that we have a 180-pound crate, 6 10-pound bags, and an unknown number of 5-pound bags. So I know that I'm going to have to state what my variable is. In this case, I'm going to use x, and I can say x equals the number of 5-pound bags. I know that the total is going to be equal to 180. If I have 6 10-pound bags, I can have that as 6 times 10. Also, in this crate has more, so I'm going to add that on. The 5-pound bags is 5 times the number of bags it is, which is x. So it'll be 5x. Now I can simplify this. 6 times 10 is 60 plus 5x equals 180. Now all this question asks us to do is to write the equation, so I do not have to solve it, so I can just leave it as is. The second question. A music store orders wooden drumsticks that weigh 96 grams a pair. The total weight of the box of drumsticks is 782 grams. How many pairs of drumsticks are in the box if the empty box weighs 206 grams? Take a second to copy down the question. So for this problem, I'm going to identify my variable to start. I'm going to use x again. I look to see what the problem's asking me for. The problem says how many pairs of drumsticks are in the box. So that's what my x is going to be. X equals the number of pairs of drumsticks. Now I'm just going to use my information to write out an equation and solve it. The drumsticks weigh 96 grams a pair. So it's going to be 96 times however many drumsticks it is, which is x. So 96x. Plus, those drumsticks have to go in the box, so I have to add on the weight of the box, which is 206. And that is going to equal the total, which is 782 grams. So now that I have my equation, I can solve. I can subtract 206 from both sides. This will get my variable by itself. 96x just comes down. 206 minus 206 cancels out. And I'm left with, on the right-hand side, 782 minus 206, which equals 576. Now, since I have 96 times x, the opposite of multiplication is division. So I can divide both sides by 96. 96x divided by 96, the 96's cancel out. I'm just left with x equals 576 divided by 96 is equal to 6. So that means x equals 6. So there are 6 pairs of drumsticks in the box. A vendor pays a rock band 1/3 of the total profit from t-shirt and sweatshirts sold at every concert. The vendor paid the band $726 after the last concert. If the profit from t-shirt sales was $1,632, what was the profit from sweatshirt sales? Take a second to copy down the question. So I'm going to start by identifying my variable. I'm going to use x again. I look at the problem to see what I do not know. The question says, what was the profit from sweatshirt sales? So that's going to be my x. X is my profit from the sweatshirt sales. When I reread the problem, I notice that it says the rock band gets 1/3 of the total profit and that they were paid $726. To make this easier, I'm going to turn that part into a mathematical equation. So we have 1/3 of the total profit is going to equal to 726 because that is what the rock band was paid. Now when I have 1/3 of the total profit consists of two parts, the t-shirts and the sweatshirts. I know that the t-shirts sold for $1,632 plus the sweatshirts, which is the variable that I identified, which is x, plus x equals the $726 that they were given. So now I'm going to solve this equation. I'm going to start by simplifying my left-hand side with the distributive property. 1/3 times 1,632 is 544, plus 1/3 times x is 1/3 x equals 726. Now I still need to get the variable by itself. So I'm going to subtract 544 from both sides. 544 minus 544 cancels out. I'm just left with 1/3 x equals 726 minus 544 is equal to 182. Now I need to get rid of this 1/3 x so I can divide both sides by 1/3. When I do that, 1/3 x divided by 1/3, my 1/3 cancels out. I'm just left with x. 182 divided by 1/3 is equal to 546. So that means that there's $546 in sweatshirt sales. The next problem. Marco wants to buy a new phone that costs $495 with some additional accessories. He has already saved $75. Write and solve an inequality to find the least amount of money M he still needs to save before he can buy the phone and accessories. Take a second to copy down the question. When I read this problem, it says to write and solve an inequality, so I know I'm not going to have an equal sign. They also tell me the amount of money M, so do I not need to identify my variable? He has already saved $75, so we have the $75, and we're going to add on the more money that needs to save, so 75 plus M. That will be the amount of money that he needs to save. Now when I think through this problem, if this is the money that he saved, the phone and the accessories cost $495. So the money that he saves needs to be greater than or equal to 495. It needs to be greater than or equal to so that he has more money in order to buy the phone. So now I'm going to solve this. So I can subtract 75 from both sides. Subtract 75 from both sides. 75 minus 75 cancels out. M is greater than or equal to 495 minus 75, 420. So that means that Marco needs to save $420 or more in order to buy the phone. And the last problem. Solve the following inequality. -2, parentheses z plus 5, plus 20 is greater than 6. Take a second to copy down the problem. I'm going to start by simplifying my left-hand side with the distributive property. So I'm going to distribute the -2 to both numbers inside the parentheses. -2 times z is -2z. -2 times positive 5 is a -10. Then I bring down the rest. Plus 20 is greater than 6. I'm going to continue to simplify my left-hand side by combining like terms. -10 and positive 20. My -2z is going to come down. -10 plus 20 is a positive 10. And then bring down my greater than 6. I have to get my variable by itself. So I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. When I do that, I'm left with -2z. 10 minus 10 cancels out. Is greater than 6 minus 10 is -4. Now to get my variable by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by -2. -2z divided by -2, my -2's cancel out. I'm just left with z. Now, since I divided both sides of an inequality by a negative, I have to remember to flip my sign. Z is less than now. -4 divided by -2 is positive 2. So I end up with z is less than positive 2. And since this is an inequality, I'm also going to have to draw my number line and graph it. I put my number that I get in the middle. I'm going to do two numbers on either side. To the right, I have a 3 and a 4. To the left, I have 1 and a 0. At 2, I'm going to put my circle. Since this is not less than or equal to, it's going to remain as an open circle. Now, to determine which way I'm going to shade, I'm going to pick a number from the left and from the right. I'm going to start with 1. 1 is less than 2. That is correct, so I'll put a check there. Now I'm going to pick a number to the right. 3 is less than 2. That is not correct. That is incorrect. So when I determine which way I'm going to shade, I'm going to shade towards my check mark. So in this case, I'm going to shade to the left. And the reason why I didn't have to do my number line in the previous problem is you do not have to do it in a word problem. So since this was a word problem, my final answer of writing Marco needs to save $420 or more is enough, and I do not have to do my number line for this one.